learning how to focus properly is going to help you get sharper images and more variety in your compositions. And the best part is that it's really easy. The first thing is that you're going to need to pick the right focusing mode. And the best one that's going to help you focus quickly and accurately is called center point focus. So look in your camera manual and find out how to switch your camera to center point focus mode. On this one, I'm just going to press my focus mode button and use my toggle to put it into center point focus. Now, what's happening here is that your camera is going to focus on whatever is underneath the center point in your viewfinder. So to activate your autofocus, you're going to have to press half down on your shutter release, and then the camera will focus. Now, make sure that you have your lens set to autofocus, otherwise this isn't going to work. So let's do an exercise that lets you practice that center point focusing. The key to getting the interesting composition is the recompose half of the technique. So you'll see that when we do this exercise. The first thing is to set your camera into P mode. All we're worrying about is our focusing technique and not any of the other settings, so P mode is going to make it really easy for us in this exercise. Now, you're going to need a subject. I'm going to use this action figure. And what we're going to do is focus on him and then recompose the image while we still are focused. And the way you do that is called focus lock. So you take your camera and place it so that the subject's eyes are under the center point. That center point is where you're always going to be focusing now. You press your shutter release halfway down to activate the autofocus. And now here's the key. Don't take your finger off. When you keep your finger halfway down, it locks focus on that object. Now you can recompose your image just by pivoting your camera, and then you can take the photo by finishing the push, just like that. And so this center point focus recompose technique lets you get any composition you want, but your focusing is really quick. So the first step of this exercise, we're going to focus on our subject, put the center point over his eyes, press halfway down, and then move your camera so that his head is in the bottom right corner. Let's do that. And that's a pretty cool image. Now, you might be finding that your camera is having a hard time focusing. That can happen if you're too close. Every lens has a minimum distance that you have to be away before it can focus. So if you're not being able to focus, back up a bit. That might help. Now, let's do that again, but let's put his head in a different corner. So again, center point, focus, recompose. Take the photo. And again, don't bring your finger off the shutter. Repeat that for the other two corners so that you have 4 photos with the head in each of the corners. Keep coming back to the center for each one so you practice that technique. But you'll see that it's really easy to focus on your subject and then just experiment getting different compositions just by pivoting your camera. Make sure you don't move forward or back or side to side too much. You want to keep it just small pivots so that it's still focused on the right object. That technique is going to help you get fast, quick focusing that's really accurate, and then give you lots of room to play with your composition. So practice it a lot, get used to shooting that way, and you're going to find your images are sharper and more interesting right away.